so that individuals are on their own in the healthcare market, and the voucher does not keep pace with healthcare costs over time. So it is not surprising that if you shift dramatically, both in terms of risk and expected cost, obligations from the federal government onto individuals, you can reduce the projected cost. He introduces individual accounts, privatization, into Social Security. He has significant changes to the tax code that would provide large tax benefits to upper income households while shifting the burden onto middle and lower income households. He eliminates the tax preference that currently exists for employer-sponsored insurance. So it is worthy of pausing. He has put forward an interesting plan. There are many aspects of that that are worthy of further discussion and debate, but it is a dramatically different approach in which much more risk is loaded onto individuals, and in which the Medicare program in particular is dramatically changed from its current structure.
The president was supposed to receive tax reform recommendations in December, and that was delayed indefinitely. Is there a possibility that that could be folded into the Fiscal Commission's review, or is it just on the back burner?
I would imagine that it will be folded into the Fiscal Commission. I would imagine that, again, the Commission will be examining a variety of things, including tax reform.
I have a question about your assumptions for economic recovery. Hi, Catherine Lewis on assignment for the Fiscal Times. I was wondering if you can give a dollar value for the improvement in the economy and how that will affect the deficit. The 10% down to 5%, do you have a dollar figure for that?
Sure. I mean, there are various ways of calibrating that, but again, to repeat, economic recovery moves the fiscal deficit from 10% of the economy to 5% of the economy. Just to scale it for the sake of argument, the economy is roughly $15 trillion, so a 5% improvement would be about $750 billion.
And can you also, to follow up on the question about the federal labor force, some jobs are going to be created and some are taken away. Can you give us any sense of scale of the number of jobs at stake?
I'm sorry, with regard to what?
The federal labor force, the changes in the government hiring.
I don't have a set of projections. We could perhaps get back to you with the underlying assumptions. There has been an increase in the federal workforce over the past few years, which has been in the areas that I mentioned earlier, the Department of Defense, the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Veterans Affairs, for example. Way in the back. I think this we'll have time for one more question, so why don't we make this the last one?
Hi, Max Kakis from Federal News Radio. I'm wondering, Mr. Orszag, if this budget is reflective at this point of any of Mr. Zientz's efforts to try to improve performance management within the federal government? And if not, when would you hope to start to see the results of his efforts in performance management?
It absolutely does reflect the work of Jeff Zients, who, by the way, is the nation's first chief performance officer and also the deputy director for management at OMB, in a variety of ways. The federal government's going to spend nearly $80 billion on information technology. There are huge improvements that can be made and that are being made in the management of those IT investments, including, for example, a simple measure, the IT dashboard, where you can go online, click on individual IT projects, see whether they're behind schedule or not. It's already leading, for example, the Department of Veterans Affairs. It led them to cancel some IT projects that were just being poorly managed. One example. I already mentioned acquisition and reform of our acquisition workforce and contracting. That's another thing that the performance team has been working a lot on. Federal personnel and hiring. That team is working with the Office of Personnel Management to simplify and streamline the hiring process and also provide easier checkpoints so that those applying for federal jobs can check online to see what's happening. So in area after area after area, you see the work that has already begun in improving government performance feeding into the federal budget. So I think with that, I just wanted to thank everyone. If you have questions or first additional details, the President said, available on budget.gov. And I think our press folks are available if you have additional questions after this. Thank you very much.